welcome back to an amazing episode of the Pokemon Go Third Shield PvP podcast. Guys, today I have an amazing guest for you. He has known because he's one of the amazing writers and now editor for Pokemon Go Hub. He has written many articles about PvP, Go Battle League, Stardust, and even Mega Evolutions. His name is Adam, and he is known as Avrip. Did I say it right, by the way?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good. Welcome to the podcast, Adam. Please say just a few words to everyone.
I really appreciate you having me on board for the podcast. I'm a big fan, so I love what you do. I love how you introduce people from the community and kind of get their word out as to which role they play within the community, and talk about what they love about the game, what you want changed, and everything like that. So I really appreciate you having me on board here.
Oh, no, of course. Thank you so much. Same way, because I read most of your articles, and I was like, oh man, we're going to have you on a podcast because you have all the info and everything. Yeah. So I'm very excited to have you, and I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. But before we even get started, how did you get involved with Pokemon Go, and how did you start writing for it?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you. So I started Pokemon Go a day after the game initially got launched. I remember hearing about the hype for Pokemon Go, and initially I wasn't actually too interested in it. I kind of thought to myself I'd stick with the main series games and, maybe I'd give it a shot one day, but so a few of my friends actually pressured me to download the game, and, since then I haven't put it down pretty much. I've been playing it ever since, almost every day. Countless amounts of money that has been spent on the game, and, I'm 100% hooked. And yeah, so with the Pokemon Go Hub, I saw that they were looking for a writer on their website, and I thought, I'd put my skills from the game and my knowledge to the test and discuss how I'm also an admin for the Pokemon Go Perth page and how I'm used to talking to a large-scale audience with my writing. And so I thought, I'd put two and two together. I'd, show off what I know about the game, and talk about the community, talk about anything that comes to mind, and put in an article form. And so once I sent off my application for the Go Hub, to my surprise, about 3 weeks later, I got an email saying that I was accepted, and ever since then, it's been awesome. Like, the Pokemon Go Hub family is amazing. They're very friendly. They are very welcoming to new writers. And, they love to hear what you have to say about the community and any ideas you have for the game. So it's just been a great ride so far, and I'm really happy to be involved within it.
That's awesome, and I'm happy to hear that. We are also going to link it in below your articles so people can actually find them. Awesome. I highly recommend them, by the way. And what was your most interesting article in a way that you were the most excited to write it?
No worries. So one of my favorite articles that I've actually wrote was an article about features that we would love to see within Pokemon Go Battle League. And actually a few of those ideas have since been implemented into the game, which is an awesome feeling, knowing that ideas that myself and other creators came up with, which I collaborated with, we put our ideas together and kind of put it into an article. And since then, a few of the ideas from that article have been since put into the game. For example,
that's awesome.
The online status information. So on the game, you can see online, offline. I thought that would be an awesome idea to have in it, because it would show, who's active, who's not so active, and it would be a lot easier to organize battles with if you wanted to do private battles. So it's a really good feeling knowing that that my article was a big impact for Niantic to actually decide that feature or not. And it went through a lot of other ideas, which I'm hoping to see in the game, but they're not currently there. But, we can always, fingers crossed. So one of those ideas was actually a quick chat option. So in Go Battle League, have the option to, have a bit more communication between you and your opponent, like a lot of other games do. So, have like a GG, have good luck, nice bait, and like, oh crap, I screwed up. So stuff like that would be an awesome idea. But no, this article has had a lot of impact within the game. And to this day, I think it's one of my most favorite articles.
Oh, that's awesome, and I'm happy to hear that too. So I hope that eventually you're gonna write about esports and Pokemon Go, and many other things. We'll talk about esports in a little bit because that's one of my favorite topics. I cannot wait to hear your take on it. But before
I have a lot
that,
to say about that. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask you. So first of all, are you all about PvP, or are you basically a collector, or both? Does that make sense? So which side are you
That
on?
does make sense. I'm pretty much both. I'm a big collector of the game. I think currently I've got around 700 shinies. But also, yeah, I love PvP. I love the community involvement. I love the change that we can all have as a community for the game to change it for the better, which I think I'll talk about soon when you bring up esports. But I do have my own opinion on that, which I'm excited to talk about. But yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of PvP and collecting, but all in all, I'm just happy to be part of the community, whether it be the shiny collectors or PvP. I'd say I'm in the mid.
What would be your like for this season? Let's start with that since we're in the current season still. So what was your most successful or absolute favorite team for Great and Ultra and not Premier?
All right, awesome. So I actually got inspiration from Poke AK to try Shadow Morwell. And I gotta say, it's a really, really tough Pokemon to get the hang of. But once you do, oh my goodness, it can just eat every single Pokemon alive almost. So I tried to use Shadow Morwell, which was a very expensive, kind of power up. It took about 400,000 Stardust and a lot of rare candy, but I'm happy to say it was well and truly worth it. So in Great League, I run Shadow Morwell lead, and then I actually have Ferrothorn in the back for the Azumarils and for the Mud Boys, as I love to say. And my safe swap, believe it or not, is Shadow Flygon, which can throw people off. They don't realize the power of it. They don't realize, how quickly the mud shots add up to Dragon Claw and to its community move Earth Power, which can one-hit a Bastiodon, believe it or not. It is a ridiculous Pokemon. And even against its hardest counter, Azumaril, 2 Earth Powers can take it out. So if you shield an Ice Beam or a Play Rough, you can potentially change the dynamic of the game and win your switch advantage back if you know what you're doing. So that's been one of my favorite teams for Great League. And then Ultra League, this is the first season that I've actually tried Premier League out. Before then, I just did Open Ultra League. And in that league, I actually ran Articuno lead to try and catch the Giratinas. It was a nightmare if I was trying to verse a Melmetal or a Registeel, so that's why I thought I'd try Premier League, because that was kind of screwing me over a bit. But it was Articuno, and then I believe I had Giratina in the back for a safe swap, and then Swamp It to kind of close the games out with Earthquake or Hydro Cannon, obviously depending on the situation. But that got me quite high up in ELO. I think I got to 2600 or so in the ratings, which was, it was okay for Ultra League. But yeah, this season I've been trying Premier League out, and I'm kind of still a bit like, I don't know what to do. So I thought I'd try out the old Grass, Fire, Water technique, which was Empoleon, and it's got really good matchups because of that steel typing. So I was running Empoleon lead, and then my safe swap was Tangrowth, which can be really, really good because a lot of the time people will see a grass user and they'll switch into Charizard, obviously, and then a Rock Slide later and they're dead. Which is amazing. And then in the back, I had my own Charizard just to kind of close the games out. So it was a decent-ish team, but I think I do still need to practice because I did have quite a few losses, unfortunately, this season. But hopefully next season will be a bit different. So currently with Master League, I'm trying out a bit of a new team as well. Sorry, I just got to remind myself what I'm actually using.
Yeah, by the way...
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just... My mind's having a mental blank of what I've been using for the past few days, because I'm kind of trying a different team out, so I'm just going to get it up here. But sorry, you continue talking.
Oh, I was just going to say that first team that you mentioned, oh boy, that sounds really spicy. I think I'm going to try that. I just need to get a Shadow, but that sounds so spicy. As soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to try that team.
it is a very, very expensive
Yep.
investment because of the 2 shadow Pokemon that you're using.
Yep.
So obviously you need to invest in an elite charge TM as well
Yep.
if you're going to want Earth Power on your Flygon.
Yep.
But I mean, the potential is almost limitless with that team. It throws people off from the beginning. And you kind of keep your opponent on their toes, from the second it says go, with the Shadow Morwhile. A lot of people don't really know the potential of it. They don't know how hard hitting it can be. And if you have a good lead, it's almost a matter of fact that it's just a GG. If
Yeah, I love that team. I really, really love that team. I'm so happy that you said that.
No, it's awesome. I really do enjoy it, and I can't wait until Great League comes back to kind of showcase it a bit more.
Yep.
It definitely is very strong though. So yeah, I've just got my team up here for the Master League, so that's right. Sorry, I can't believe
it's all good. It's all good.
For the past few days, and then my brain's been like, what are we using? So I was at the start of Master League using Metagross lead, but then I found it was good at the start, and then people kind of caught on to the whole Metagross craze. So there was a lot more Swampert leads, and now Garchomp, and I've seen Haxorus is actually getting a lot of love. It's getting a lot of play, so which obviously it can beat Metagross with Night Slash. So I kind of had to change my lead. So now I'm currently using Dragonite as the lead, and then using Snorlax in the back for a safe swap, and then having Metagross in the back to try and close the game instead of being an initial lead Pokemon. And I found with this team, it's really good because if you have a bad lead, such as a Togekiss, which obviously is one of the hardest counters for a Dragonite, you can swap into your Snorlax, and quite a few times they'll think that that's one of the only solutions you have for Togekiss. And then later on it has the surprise factor of obviously showcasing the Metagross and kind of closing games in that sense. But I've noticed Snorlax can be a really, really good safe swap if you do have a bad lead. So I'm having quite a bit of success with it. Did have one rough night where I lost about 100 points, but I was tired and exhausted, so we won't count that. But yeah, so that's the teams that I have been using so far for this season, and I found it has a lot of success. But obviously, just with anything in life, it takes practice. And with the right amount of practice, the right amount of dedication to want to get better at the game, it can work. So that's what I'm happy with, and that's what I'm going to stick with for the rest of the season, I believe.
I like that team because it's not as expensive as you would think so, because it's not legendaries.
Definitely not like the Great League team at all.
Yes, true. And then, but what I was gonna say, so what do you think about a Groudon? If somebody got a Groudon because it was just in raids, but don't have Fire Punch, do you think should they use their LTM and start using it in Masters this season, or should they go with your team, you think? Or what are your take on Groudon?
Well, Groudon is obviously in the Open Master League, and as I was saying, I do the Premier Cup. So I'm not 100% familiar with Groudon, but I do believe that Fire Punch can be a deadly move. It's good against Dialgas, it's good against some of its counters, and it is obviously a very fast charging move and can be used as a bait. So I would recommend, if you could get one with Fire Punch, that 100% go for it. But I know sometimes that resources can be hard, such as elite TMs, such as obviously just finding the time to raid Groudon. Obviously it's going to be hard in rural areas, but if you can get your hands on one, definitely go for it. Fire Punch is awesome.
And sorry, because I totally misunderstood you. So when you said Metagross, for some reason I heard Melmetal. So the whole time you were speaking, I was picturing the matchups because you Dragonite and Snorlax. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting and cheap team for Open Master.
But sorry, I was saying Metagross. It might be my Australian accent, but
no.
Metagross.
Yes, Metagross. So
the other steel type, yeah.
So makes sense. Now it makes total sense. I was like, all right, you found the cheap team for Open Masters, but it makes total sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but I did see many people using Dragonite and Snorlax in Open Masters, so that's why I wasn't that surprised. Yeah.
No, they do kind of go well together. If you have a bad matchup, just swap to Snorlax. And,
And then what are your expectations? So how did you do last season, and what are your expectations for this season?
So I've never actually reached rank 10, but I obviously have a lot of friends that have. So I've learnt quite a lot from watching Twitch streamers, from watching my own friends kind of grind their way up to rank 10. So the highest I've actually gotten currently is around 2700 rating, which is okay. It's only 300 off, but that is my goal in Pokemon Go, to obviously get to rank 10. That way, I feel like with my Go Battle League articles that I'll be taken a bit more serious rather than just, hearing it from a rank 9. They'll be like, oh, come on, you don't even know what you're doing. But no, I would say I'm knowledgeable about the game. It's just that, things take practice. It's obviously a split-second decision that you need to make when you're in a battle, which is obviously a bit different than, writing your thoughts onto an article where you can take the time to process what you're actually going to say. So in that sense, I kind of do have a lot of knowledge about the game, but I just need practice to kind of train my quick thinking, decision making in battle. But I'll get there, I believe. But yeah, 2700 was my max, so I'm hoping this season I'll get up there. I'm currently at 2550, I believe, which is not bad. But yeah, hopefully rank 10 by the end of the season.
Yeah, good. It's and don't forget, and people who are listening or watching, don't forget that we still have the Go Battle Night when we have the Fly Cup and everything, and you can literally, even if you're 2100 right now, if you have a good streak, you can actually reach rank 10 that day because you can do 100 battles.
Definitely.
So
I think it's going to be a bit exhausting, but
yeah.
Oh man, if you get some good sets though, you can get very high up there. I'm looking forward to it though.
Me too. And what I was gonna ask you, well, a few things, but do you have any idea, by the way, because obviously you're really into the game and you have lots of knowledge of it, but do you have any idea what to expect for maybe the next and the following season? The only reason I'm asking, because they put out an article, and in an article they said the next season will be no ranking points, it will be just you win, and then you will get to rank 10 eventually when you have X amount of wins. And then that's a short season though, they said. And then supposedly they need this short season so everybody could prepare for the new season, which is season 6. So what I wanted to ask you is, do you have any idea what is that all about, or any guesses?
I mean, there's obviously speculations and everything, so nothing's set in concrete, but obviously I can kind of give my ideas, judging on my knowledge of the game. So there obviously might be a few mix-ups in it, and what I think it is that there could be some brand new mechanics, such as, some of the things, hopefully, that I featured in the game. Either that, or there will be a lot of new movesets that the community will obviously have to get used to. And I think that might happen next season in order for, people to understand the game for the actual proper long season. So I think, what I can think of is that other games, such as League of Legends, at the end of the season, you actually have a pre-season, which means that the company will add in a lot of new changes for that season, so that the community can get used to it and prepare themselves for the coming changes. So if anything I can think of, it's that there will be a lot of changes, but it's just so the short season will just be that so the community can get used to it, and so they can actually kind of grind their way up while having the knowledge from the short season into the long season that's coming up. That's just what I can think of, and obviously nothing's set in stone, but that's my opinion of what I think is going to happen.
That makes perfect sense. That would be actually pretty amazing if that's the case. And one other thing I want to add to that, I just had Caleb Peng on a podcast on a previous episode, and he was mentioning it. What he also hopes of everything you just mentioned is that when the new season starts after this mid-season, maybe everybody's pre-ELO and all the ELO existed before complete resets, and everybody starts from the absolute zero. So now, even if you're rank 1 and your previous season rank 10, you guys might face each other because it's an absolute zero reset, which would be amazing. Because I don't know about you, but when the new season started, I faced similar to what I ended last season. Does that make sense? So similar players.
Yeah. No, I understand completely. And, I think that does have a big factor with what will happen. It could be like a hard reset, maybe. But yeah, I definitely do think some big things are going to happen for Go Battle League. And, obviously no one knows for sure, but I'm hoping it has something to do with the word esport.
Yes, let's talk about that. So before we actually do that, you mentioned League of Legends, and I'm a big fan of League of Legends as well. And of course, the new Pokemon game is technically League of Legends that's coming out as well. But what I want to ask you about is two things. just for the listeners who are not really into League of Legends and they might have not seen how they actually started and when they come from. But the only reason I'm bringing this up because League of Legends had already I think it was like $1 million poll when they had that giant event in California in LA, and they lagged out of the finals. So it went on for like a whole day because they were lagging so bad. They restarted the match and everything. The only reason I'm mentioning this because Go Battle League still has all those issues, but put that in perspective, Go Battle League doesn't have $1 million poll, to win. It's in beta in my mind because they are still just testing. So that's why I don't get pissed because I'm like, oh, dude, this is just testing, so we can eventually get to League of Legends.
Exactly.
But I wanted to ask your opinion on it. So, what do you think about esports? What are your hopes and what are your thoughts?
No worries. I was waiting for you to ask this question. This is the juicy one, I think.
Good.
So for the people that don't know, I'm actually a really big League of Legends player.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing since Season 2, which was roughly around 8 years ago. I've actually made it to one of the highest ranks, Challenger, back in Season 5.
Wow, awesome.
And I'm an AD carry main. For those who don't know, it's someone that goes in the bottom lane with a support, and you're kind of the main carry. The team has to look after you in order for you to carry the game. And I got to a really high rank, which is Challenger. It's the top 200 on the server. So it was a really big accomplishment of mine. And obviously since then, esports came to mind. So I've joined a few minor esports teams, but nothing too serious. But I do realize the potential that any game with a competitive scene has for an esport. And that brings me to Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go definitely has potential for an esport. I'll say that.
Yep.
And it's great that you asked this question because I currently just finished an article regarding the topic of esports, actually named "The Potential of Pokemon Go PvP Becoming an Esport."
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited.
So I'm happy to go through that with you if you like.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that because so in the podcast, every single episode, I mention esports. I put it in the description and everything because I want Pokemon Go to eventually pick up on it as well. But anyways, go on. Sorry, go ahead. I'm excited.
No worries. It's good to have your opinion about it too. So myself I collaborated with a company called The Band Famous, and they have also hosted a few live events for Pokemon Go. And so shout out to Narelle and Xander from The Band Famous. We kind of collaborated our ideas into an article. And I think we both agreed that the number one reason as to why Pokemon Go is not currently an esport. Sorry, before I get to that, it is there. Pokemon Go Esport is there. It's just underground. I need people to know that. It is 100% there. There have been big tournaments. There have been showcases of, a group of people participating on a stage with an audience. And to me, competing for, a prize or something, a prize or honor or whatever it may be. And to me, I believe that considers itself as an esport, whether it's still growing, whether it's still a little seed right now, waiting to grow into what it could be. It is there. I'll say that first before I get into anything. And one of the biggest changes that I believe Niantic would have to do in order for Pokemon Go to become an official esport starts with their advertising of the game. And what I mean by that is currently it is advertised as a more casual gameplay experience rather than talking about the whole competitive PvP scene, talking about the streamers that are actually full on serious about the game turning into an esport or something more competitive. And currently their advertising methods are portrayed as catch Pokemon in the real world, play with your Pokemon, become best friends with your Pokemon. And although that's great for the casual scene, it doesn't actually entice any competitive players into the game. And I think what they would have to do in order for it to become more large scale is to change their advertising methods. So instead of, showcasing the casual side, why not talk about, the Pokemon Go World Championships they had in 2019? Why not show what that did for the community? Let's get some live audiences screaming in the background. Let's show the prizes that they were given. Let's show what Pokemon Go PvP can do as a whole for esports and for the community. Like, I think it's time, Niantic, for you to actually showcase what the game could be on a more competitive scene. So that would be the number one reason as to why I think they would need to change their methods. Another thing I had would be that obviously it's a bit hard now with the whole current worldwide situation, but more Niantic live sponsored events. And yeah, as I mentioned before, it's hard to do anything live right now, but why not more live streams?
Yeah.
So focusing more on the PvP content creators, focusing more on the people that dedicate their time onto the game for Pokemon Go PvP. And why not host some large-scale events online where you can actually compete, for prizes, for in-game rewards, and be featured on one of these live streams. It would be a great reason for the community to get involved, for Niantic to get more involved within the community. I think it would just be a beneficial change that Niantic could do, especially right now with COVID, with them having to make the change from an outdoor game to almost a purely indoor game. They've obviously had to do a lot of changes. There's been a lot of background work, and I think now would be the perfect time for Niantic to start live streaming PvP events, showcasing what the game can be. And I'm sure there is someone at Niantic that has obviously thought of this too. But I'm hoping with the articles that I write, and obviously with this podcast, hopefully it'll get the message out there for Niantic to get the ball rolling, to try and change the game from a more casual to competitive environment. And I think you mentioned before with League of Legends how when it first came out, there was obviously a lot of issues with the servers. And yeah, I do agree Pokemon Go PvP is still a beta. I don't think it's a finished product at all. And that's why I think the next 2 seasons will be pretty big. I also think with the short season, there will be big changes. And whether that's server-side changes, whether that's in-game mechanics, whether that's, new moves, new Pokemon, new features, new anything, I do think the current server health needs to be upgraded in order for an esports to happen in the future. Because, obviously, as we all know, Go Battle League can be a bit of a laggy mess here and there. There's obviously complaints. There's obviously people going, oh, what's the point? And obviously Niantic's going to see that, they want to focus on their game. They want people to kind of, start getting involved within PvP, because there is a large community out there. But as I mentioned before, it is a bit underground. So this would be their opportunity to fix up the servers, start the live streams, change the advertising, and get the word out there for PvP. So that's my thoughts and opinions on PvP as an esport, and that's what I think Niantic can do. Sorry, I had to get that all out.
No, that was all good. That was all good. Now from that, there's so much to talk about, and I'm so happy that you said that. I'm so happy you posted an article, and I make sure I will link it into this description once the podcast go live. And also, I have like so many questions and so many things to talk about now from what you said. So one thing is that I wanted to start with is when you mentioned that PokeAK and King, for example, when they had that event, I think that was to get their foot wet, and they had the setup. They had trainer Tips Nick basically there to announce it. Exactly. The whole setup was there and everything, and COVID happened, so it obviously went away. But that was the most viewed and the most anticipated event of the whole everything. So they see the potential. That's one, and that's what got me back into the game. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm back. I love PvP. This is it. And then not only that, but then I don't know if you know this, but I think it's in November, but in Tokyo they have the esports yearly esports event or something, and they actually have Pokemon Go on the list as for the first time, but they're doing it very interestingly. So it's one of those like it's invitation only, and then what you can use Pokemon is what you catch that day, and you have to battle at the end of the day. So. Wow. So that's kind of interesting, but I just saw it, I think a month ago in an article. Yeah, about it.
That's very different. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's if you catch a Skarmory in the wild, you're good. You're gonna do well.
Idea, because it implements features from the game that Niantic originally wanted to bring within the community, which is obviously catch the Pokemon, train the Pokemon up, but then it also kind of puts in the idea of use these Pokemon and create your own strategies within a time frame. So that is a really good idea. I actually haven't heard about that, but that's awesome.
And it's to some people it might be like, oh man, I've been grinding for 10 years. That's really stupid. I understand that point of view as well. But here's the one other thing that I could actually see this too. They could define the meta for each week, each month, or whenever these events are by saying what this month, whatever Halloween Cup. So obviously the meta will be defined by what you can catch. Does that make sense? So and then that's how the meta would work. I kind of like that idea because then it's just like you said. It's you still go outside, you still grind, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if they actually go through with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, me too. And then one other thing is I want to bring up two more things. So one, Ninja. Did you see Taylor, if I say it right?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I recently saw that he was interested in Pokemon Go PvP, and I think that is such a big thing. He's obviously one of the biggest Twitch streamers out there when it comes to gaming. Obviously, with his Fortnite career, that kind of boosted everything. I've actually been a big fan of him since he used to play Halo Reach back in the day, and I've been a follower of him since he had around 10,000 subscribers and followers on Twitch. So I'm all for him joining the community and wanting to learn more about it, and potentially he'll have a stream one day and get the word out there for PvP, and that could be a very, very big step for creating Pokemon Go PvP as an esport. So that's awesome. Good on him.
Yeah, if Niantic would want to launch esports, this would be the timeline, and they would reach out to Ninja because they can afford Ninja, by the way. So they could pay for Ninja to stream or set up the streaming, just like you said, and all that, and then basically maybe even host an event, just like he did it for Fortnite. He hosted an event in Las Vegas. So I guarantee you, it would get the word out and would blow up overnight, the PvP scene. And it would be just amazing.
I can't wait for that. It's honestly the most exciting news I've heard all week. That's
Yeah.
so good though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wanted to say one more thing. So with Dr. Disrespect. So I don't know if you've ever seen my stream, but I kind of taunting Dr. Disrespect on purpose. So I have similar to his stadium, only does that scene. So only the scene that I have, it's outside of the stadium. The outline looks similar to his. So the reason why I'm doing that, and I'm also tagging him in and all that kind of stuff, so eventually he sees it, and I'm hoping, because he's one of the most watched streamers, that he would be like, what the hell is this? And would do like a spin-off or mention it, And then Pokemon gets on the radar of so many people seeing that. So I'm doing that too, just to somehow get that little extra attention in the PvP scene. So let's hope it works out.
I like that. I think that's a really good idea, because in my article that I've also talked about is community involvement. So I think everyone, that has the knowledge of the game can obviously do their part to get the word out there about PvP. Whether that be just, getting the word out there about following certain streamers, joining in with, any new events that come out within the game, and just talking about it as a whole on social media. Obviously, we'll get the word out there. And Niantic, they're all about their numbers. They can see how popular it can be, and so the community obviously has such a big role for turning Pokemon Go into an esport. So it's obviously 50% community, 50% Niantic, I believe. But we all have something that we can add to the game. Whether that be just discussing it on social media or just following Twitch streamers, we all do have something we can do to get our involvement out in there.
And it's just such a good setup, such an entertaining thing. I heard so many stories when Linden Ryu and King were at an event, and for example, they were at a bar and they casted the battles on a bar TV, and the crowd, even who don't even know what Pokemon Go is, were actually joining in and cheering and enjoying it, because it's so easy to understand. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's so quick. It's not boring. It's not going on for 30 minutes. It's done in like 2 minutes.
It's a very fast-paced game. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of information that you have to take in a matter of seconds, and obviously if you can hear crowds screaming about a good play, you obviously get involved. So that was it's awesome. I love to see that.
And then one other thing is too, there's a website, I forgot what it's called, but it's for esports. It's esports betting website. You might know what I'm talking about, something unicorn or something like that. And
I think I know the one you're talking about.
So, and it's one of the owners is Ashton Kutcher and Mark Cuban, so really big names are involved in it. And the reason I'm mentioning this, because if anybody knows what I'm talking about or looks up this website where you can actually bet on esports games, if you just look at it, go to the website. I'm not saying go gamble, but the only reason I'm mentioning this is because when you look at that website, what comes to my mind as soon as I look at it, that the best platform, the best game for this platform is literally Pokemon Go. Because if I could go, I guarantee you, if I could go to that website and I could bet on King or whatever when they live streaming and they battling against somebody else, I would do that because it's so quick, and then, you know what I mean? It's just like so easy to get involved. It could be very dangerous, but but it could be pretty amazing. I really think Pokemon Go made for esports, and I'm happy to hear from you that you think the same way.
I think it's such a good idea because, you know, you can obviously learn the background of the players that you're betting on.
Yep.
You obviously can see that they stream. You can see that they've gotten to, you know, rank 10. They obviously know what they're talking about. And at the end of the day, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, it's a 50-50 bet. You know,
Yep.
It's a one-on-one game. It's not like you're betting against single players in a whole sports team. It's one-on-one, you know?
Yep.
And obviously with self-control, with gambling and everything, and just having a bit of fun, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I honestly, I really hope it's all of those. I hope Niantic or somebody from Niantic listens to this. And I'm constantly reaching out to them too, by the way. I tried to get someone on the podcast from Niantic to try to talk about, but I'm pretty sure they don't really want to. It's a private company, so anything they do is not public. So it's like you can't really, you know, they only say what they can say, and that information is already public. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard to get in there, but hopefully we will get it. Now, before we wrap this up, what I wanted to ask you is that, where can people find you is one thing, of course. And you were streaming as well, right?
I've recently started streaming about a month ago, yeah. So I'm a brand new streamer, but, you know, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really loving the fact that I can still communicate with an audience while just being at home. It's such a good feeling. And, you know, if I'm obviously demonstrating my excitement towards the game, it rubs off on the audience, you know. So it's a great way to get people involved, and I'd 100% recommend anyone that actually is interested in Pokemon Go PvP to, you know, maybe try streaming. It's definitely a growing community, and I think it's a great way to showcase your skills, showcase your knowledge, showcase your personality, and, you know, all that good stuff. But yeah, if people want to find me, Twitter is one of my main platforms, I believe. So if you'd like to find me on Twitter, it's at Hub Avrip. And that's where I post, you know, any new articles that get published to the Pokemon Go Hub site. And that's where I post if I'm streaming or not, and just anything that exciting happens in my Pokemon Go game, I'll post about. So at Hub Avrip is the main place to find me. And we're just talking about my streaming career, which I've just started. And that's also twitch.tv/GoHubAvrip. So I try and stick with the same name just so people don't get confused.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Two platforms, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna link it in, so no worries, and I'm gonna link in your articles as well. And then also, what I wanted to ask you about this. So, in the article, 2 questions about the article. When is the article coming out? And second question, are you going to like, maybe it's already in there, but you don't have to tell me yes or no. But I'm just wondering, are you gonna link in or gonna have reference to that event with the video when King and AK, Poke AK was playing or anything like that?
I could say that. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
That's true, actually. I actually wrote quite
Because people need to see that, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I talk about the guests that were featured in that event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously there was some big names. There was, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but there was the director of Gamefreak, there was the game designer of Gamefreak, there was obviously Poke AK, Poke King, Yamada, Strawberry. There was so many big names out there. And yeah, I put links that showcase what the tournament was,
Awesome.
how big it was, and, you know, kind of pushing Niantic to kind of host more of those events.
Oh yeah.
Be in person, which is obviously a bit hard, but, you know, I do talk about live streaming. I focus a lot about live streaming because it's the way of the future. It's the way of now because of COVID, because of people not being able to leave the house. It's a safe way to still be able to showcase what you love, and a great way to grow an audience. And that's why I've kind of made a conscious effort for that to be one of the main focuses within my article. And sorry, your question was when it's going to be published?
Yes.
So I only just finished it early last week. And with the Go Hub, it kind of depends on if there's any news or information that kind of needs to be urgently released out there to the public, you know, regarding any new updates to Pokemon Go. So it all depends on what comes out within the next week or 2 of the game. Obviously, there's a new Halloween event coming out,
Yep.
which we'll have to cover. But yeah, I'm going to roughly say around 2 weeks or so, just to be safe. But hopefully a bit sooner. But yeah, as I said, it all just depends on what Niantic brings out within that week if we have to cover it.
Yep.
But yeah, so 2 weeks, fingers crossed.
Okay, awesome. And then two more things. One is when do you usually stream and what time zone?
Okay, so I try and stick to a schedule. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky if you obviously have stuff on during the day and night, but my schedule is around now actually. So 9 o'clock to I start around 9 to 10 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and obviously I just go through my Go Battle League games, which takes about an hour and a half or so, depending on how long the games go for.
Yep.
But give or take, yeah, about an hour and a half, and so starting 9 to 10 Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, awesome. And guys, to give example, that's basically exactly the same thing Eastern time, but AM instead of PM. So it's kind of easy to transfer that way, in case you're wondering.
Exactly.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to thank you, that you came on the podcast and brought such amazing good news, because first of all, I started this podcast obviously to help and grow and get people more familiar with PvP. Yeah. And of course to improve myself, and then with a huge focus on esports. There was not a single episode that does not mention esports. So I'm so happy that I had you on, because you have such a big take on this esports. So I was happy. I cannot wait to publish this, which will go live on Wednesday, by the way, this Wednesday.
Awesome.
So awesome. I make sure I will talk about the article, and once the article is out, I will edit it and put it in there so everybody knows that it's linked in.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously this article is really important to me.
Yep.
And I think the more people that share it around, the more people that have a read through it and take it into consideration, the better.
Yep.
For not only the community, but for Niantic's awareness of the article, to maybe take and factor some of the ideas within it and put it into perspective.
Yeah. And and then I hope if Ninja somehow sees it, or even Ninja is we tag it in or whatever, maybe he sees the potential that, maybe I should be the one carry this game into esports. That would be pretty cool as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think it would be really good if he started streaming. It'd obviously get the word out there, and what better person than one of the biggest Twitch streamers out there when it comes to gaming. It would just be such good news for the Pokemon Go PvP community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And is there any lost words or anything we left out that you want to mention before we wrap this up?
Well, I'd firstly like to thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I think it's awesome what you do, interviewing, influencers or people that have a good involvement within the community. So that's really great of you. But any parting words from me would also probably just refer to what I mentioned in the article about the community involvement for making Pokemon Go into an esport. When I first started with the Pokemon Go Hub, I was very excited that I could obviously get my ideas out there, and I'm 100% for the community. So I think it's such a big thing to be involved within either the PvP community, within just any sort of community, whether it be raiding, whether it be anything like that. I think it's just really good to get involved and to get the word out there about what you love about the game, showcase it on social media, show your attention for Niantic, whether that be commenting, whether that be getting involved within streams or anything like that. So as much as you guys can do, just try your best to get involved within the community, and I'm sure we all can agree that the game will continue to grow and will continue to reward its player base. So that would be my parting words to you guys.
Thank you. That's amazing. And guys, thank you so much for listening or watching, and I will see you the next time.